If you're a captain of an airliner and a lot of your passengers just disappeared, what would you do? So we're here tonight at Brennan Theaters watching Left Behind, starring Nicolas Cage, which is supposed to be the money grabber if you want to go see it. So I watched the Kirk Cameron one back in the day. I remember it being very lengthy, kind of one of those like a straight to DVD type of deal. For this one, you're thinking Nicolas Cage, it's got a bigger budget, it should be better. It's still kind of, it drags. But there is a nice redeeming thing for when the word they don't say in the movie, the rapture takes place. The way they do that, you're kind of like, you have my attention now. Because then that's when chaos just runs amok. I didn't read the book, but someone here did and was telling me that they only covered like 10% of the first book. So it seems like they left a lot out. But it's just like, if you're already gonna be a 2-hour movie, let's just make a 2-hour movie and really get you some good stuff. Is it preachy? Depends how you look at it. I mean, if you're gonna go into it with like God visors, like, oh, it's super preachy all the way, then yeah, you're gonna walk away from it being super preachy. If you're going into it just be like, you know what, I've heard of the books, whatever, I'm just gonna check it out, see what it's all about, you'll kind of be like, interesting. If you're some of the people like us that are like, the word's called rapture, why do they not say it? Some stuff in there was really cheesy for me. I really felt some things in this movie, for being a big budget movie, being released in theater, there was some cheese. It kind of bothered me, especially the main girl. If you watch it, you'll know what I'm talking about. She's a Swiss Army knife. You can throw in any situation and she's gonna be like, got it, got it, got it, got it. Matrix download, we're good. The thing that really nabbed my attention was when the rapture actually happened, just the way that went about. That was cool. It was just one of those things you're like, how did they do that? The acting was meh. You know, there were a lot of similarities to the Kirk Cameron one, to the book, a lot of differences. The graphics, the plane, you can tell it's a CG plane. You can tell lots of times they're probably on a green screen with light. If you're a religious person, you're gonna enjoy this movie. All in all, this movie, I gotta give it a 6. I was a little excited to see it. It was a little disappointing. If you're a Nick Cage fanboy, you're gonna go see it because it's Nicolas Cage. Yes, I've heard of actors doing terrible movies, but still people go because they like that actor. To see what the other viewers had to say, let's check that out.
This is the thing with this movie. Whether you're religious or you're not religious doesn't really come into play when you're judging the way the movie was made. The way the movie was made, in my opinion, was just they dropped the ball. The bad screenplay, bad pacing. That is some of the worst acting I have seen in a very, very long time. Not everybody was bad. Chad Michael Murray, for what he was given, I think he did a pretty good job. Even Nicolas Cage wasn't even Nicolas Cage in this movie. He tried to tone himself down to be just a regular performance, and it was horrible. The girl, Supergirl, was just horrible also. The acting is atrocious. The shock value of the actual rapture itself, which for some reason they don't call it that in the movie, but the actual rapture itself, I think was good. And I was bored when I got to that point because it's really slow at the beginning, and it happened, and I'm like, oh,
we got a movie.
That was pretty awesome. I'm shocked how they pulled that off. You'll like that. The problem is the rest of the movie I spent rolling my eyes. Whether you're religious or not, you know that movie's going to be pushing an agenda, but it pushes it in a way that's very polarizing in my opinion. Whether you agree with the theme or don't agree with the theme, I think you'll see that polarizing push that the movie does.
You know, I didn't really enjoy the movie very much, and it's not just because I didn't want to see a religion movie or anything like that. The movie had a really hard time keeping my attention, and I really was not entertained. I will say that when the actual event happens, it happened and it did get my attention, and I knew exactly what this movie was about right when it happened. I believe this is a remake. I remember the original, and they didn't really make it any better or spice it up to make me really want to see this movie again. I think I could have watched the old one and just enjoyed it just as much.
Kirk Cameron!
Yeah, other than that, I love Nicolas Cage. He's one of my favorite actors, so seeing it was partly because of him. I think they did a good job of sucking me in that way.
Of course, that's the money grab.
Yeah, it's the money grabber. Other than that, the movie didn't really keep me where I really wanted to sit there and watch it. Was it a waste? Yeah, it was a good waste, but, we don't know until we see it.
I was excited to see what they were going to do with this movie. Maybe make it better than the Kirk Cameron one, because that one was very lacking. When you got into this story, it didn't start out strong. You don't grow attached to any characters. You don't grow attached to anything about them. There's nothing that ties you in that says, I'm going to care about them. Chad Michael Murray was solid in this one. Even if you're not an overly religious person, you don't really know a lot about the Bible, but you do know about the end. You do know the beginning of the end, and you do know what's going to happen. So for people to have this preconceived notion that something is going on that they're not being told about, no, you've been told about this many, many times. You've been told. Shock value was washed away because of the after effect of how ignorant and the people were about it.
For what the story is about, I felt it was very rushed. I felt they were just like, okay, here's an intro about a daughter and problems with her mom, cute little brother, and then boom, bye everybody, and then just like, I don't know, I feel like it could have been a lot more organized. The story could have been explained a bit, better, like, you know, what being left behind is actually really about.
This movie. Do I get the message? People are probably asking, you probably didn't get it. No, I get it. I get it. I just didn't need the message via that piece of movie. 20 minutes in, I was just like, okay, so what's gonna happen? All right, it's gonna happen. 30 minutes in, what the hell's happening? 40 minutes in, something finally happens, and I didn't
With
care.
that happening though, how was that for you?
With that happening, I went, what? And then 10 minutes later, I went, what? And then 15 minutes later, I was like, huh? And then I was like, okay, is this about the plane? There was nothing there for me. Like, nothing pulled me in. I
The
just
shock
went,
value of that didn't
there
happen?
was no shock value. The only shock value here is that Hollywood made that piece of Was it independent? If that's the case, Nicolas Cage, you're on your path still, so good on you, I guess. Chad, dude, come on. Come on, Michael Murray. People like you, dude. Become a superhero and get your career going back up that way, because good lord, you're gonna get left behind for making that piece of That was a slight against God.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you give this and why?
666. It should burn in hell. That was a horrible movie. I didn't like the movie.
I'll give it a 6, just because of Chad Michael Murray.
I would give it a 6. It's one of those things you can red box. You don't need to go see this in the big screen.
I'm gonna give it a 4. I can't give it any more than that.
I give it a 4 out of 10. And the reason I give it a 4 out of 10, they were trying to tell a story that I think is very compelling. It's something that is everybody thinks about when it comes to religion, everybody has in their mind, and there's a million ways to tell that story. And that was not a good way to tell that story.
If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Like this video, favorite it, share it, like us on Facebook. Give us your comments. You hate ones, you love ones, whatever. You know, it's a different type of movie. I know what I'm gonna put up here in this bubble is way different, but we're trying to get this video to 1,000 views. We want to do a fan film. If you can help us get 1,000 views, we will make this fan film for you. And as always, we're letting you know before you go at Brendan Theaters.